Welcome in to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. It is Friday. You know what that means. Wait for it. It's time for picks. We'll have those up for you in just a little bit. Also, we're going to get into some stuff here, including could Lane Kiffin, after being tarmacked, which that's like that's like a verb that comes just from Lane Kiffin. When you get fired from your job at the airport on the way back, it's tarmacked. After getting tarmacked by Southern Cal, could Lane Kiffin go back to Southern Cal? Some people think that he should. Today, we also give some congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs. They did something that a lot of other teams should be doing, especially Florida, but they probably won't. We'll tell you what that is in a little bit. We'll also talk a little bit about that Florida-Kentucky game and some of the matchups. How can the Gators fall in the land of bluegrass? I'll tell you what Kentucky needs to do. We'll also have picks against the spread, and we'll look at your favorite games of the week. And in fact, we will start with that. Here's what we got. Shout out to Tyler Crowder, host of Kicking It with Crowder. He likes Kentucky +9. Well, I'd like Kentucky +9 too. Vegas is only giving me 8, though. Why don't they give me Kentucky +14? I'll take that too. We're just making up lines here, Tyler. Anyway, 803-978-1832. Shout out to everyone that's watching the program today. But let's look at some of the games this week. We'll start with some SEC matchups, and then we'll get into some of the other matchups, including the Friday night game. All right, so let's go with first, Ole Miss and Alabama. Alabama's a 14-point favorite. Is anybody surprised that Alabama's a 14-point favorite? I'm not. I know that everybody looks at last year's game where it was 62-48. Lane Kiffin was talking about, his offense basically did whatever they wanted to do, putting up 48 points on the Alabama defense. Yeah, there's that. I don't know if it's going to be that way this year. So with that, all the talk is about Lane Kiffin being more mature now. Don't we all mature at some point? I'm waiting to hit puberty with my jump shot. I'm going to be dangerous. Anyway, having to tee off with that Nick Saban defense, we're going to find out. We kind of know that Matt Corral can play. But if you remember last season, they did the job on the ground. That was the big thing. So we'll see how Ole Miss and Alabama works out on that. And I'll give you my pick against the spread a little bit later on. And then, of course, some other matchups in the SEC. Arkansas at Georgia. Excuse me. When you really stop and think about it, Arkansas is playing with house money. They could go into this Georgia matchup. They're 4-0. No one thought they were going to be 4-0. No one was like, Arkansas is going to be 4-0. They basically got a coach that's like a cartoon. That's basically what he is. And they're down there and they're winning games. So you got to give them credit for that. But here's the thing. KJ Jefferson can make big plays with Treylon Burks. Okay? And it was supposed to be that at the beginning of the season that the Clemson offense was going to be lights out, probably one of the better offenses that that Georgia would see until they played Alabama. KJ Jefferson and Treylon Burks have been playing some extremely good football, and they have the capability to make some plays. But the Georgia defense is the best defense that they will see all year. I think they're going to frustrate Mr. Jefferson and Mr. Burks. and things aren't going to be too pretty. But we'll get into that matchup a little bit more as far as the spread goes. Georgia's an 18.5-point favorite. It probably should be a little more than that. Just saying. We also have Florida and Kentucky. Florida is a 8.5-point favorite, 8-point favorite. Tyler says, hey, he's a 9-point favorite in his book. Tyler needs to start his own sports book. Anyway, Florida, big favorite here going into Kentucky. You know, is it going to be Emory Jones? Is it going to be Anthony Richardson as he, the freshman, of course, is dealing with a sore hamstring? So lots of stuff that I'm reading about this is that, oh, well, Florida has 2 quarterbacks. They have options at quarterback. Look, if you haven't figured out who your quarterback is at this point of the season, you don't have a quarterback. We goof about certain teams putting different quarterbacks into the situation. But in reality, you want one guy. So Florida has 2, which means that Dan Mullen hasn't really decided on either one of them. So the idea that you could run out both is kind of flat, in my opinion. You should know who your quarterback is by this time. I don't think it's that's that far-fetched. So we'll see how Florida and Kentucky will go this weekend. You know, Florida seems like the kind of team that they look like they could be dependable. Like they could be like a good horse at a horse race, but that horse is one that could not come out of the gate quick and end up getting their teeth knocked out. That's kind of how I feel about Florida. We'll see how that matchup goes with Kentucky. One of the other interesting matchups in the SEC this weekend, you got Auburn playing at LSU. Auburn, with all the things that are going on around the program with Harsin firing the wide receiver coach, they don't know who their quarterback is. Is it going to be Bo Nix, who was the five-star legacy recruit? My daddy went to Auburn, so therefore I get to go to Auburn and I get to throw the ball up and down the field. It's kind of the mentality you get from this guy. Or is it TJ Finley, who is a guy that transferred out of LSU, couldn't crack the lineup at LSU, had one game against South Carolina where he looked like a world beater, and then all of a sudden, flat. Can he go and get revenge against his former mates at LSU? Auburn is a 3.5-point underdog for a night game at LSU. When you really stop and think about that, it used to be playing at night at LSU was like going into a tomb. You were done. Not much of a advantage there for LSU. Mississippi State at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a 7.5-point favorite at home. They went to Arlington last week, and Arkansas pretty much walked them up and down the field. So, yeah, there's that. We'll see how that matchup works out. The Pirates looking to pick up an SEC win there. Folks are asking about the catch in the Miami end zone. Yeah, that was pretty good. Not enough for in the Miami-Virginia game, but Virginia ends up with the win. Tennessee at Mizzou. Mizzou is the 3-point favorite at home. And you're talking about 2 teams that I like the Mizzou offense. I think Connor Bazelak and the running game for Mizzou is pretty good. I don't know what to think about Tennessee, though. Here's my thing with this matchup. This is like a bowl game knockout game. If you lose this game, stop talking to me about how you're going to a bowl. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. UConn plays at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is terrible, but they're a 14.5-point favorite. I don't even know where don't even know where to go with this game, but Vandy's a 14.5-point favorite. We'll pick this game in a little bit. We'll talk about the South Carolina matchup in a moment. We can go to the phones, 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Let's head out to the phones. And good afternoon. Welcome into the rundown.
Good afternoon, Rob. It's Ray. How you doing?
Ray, how are you, sir? We were going to talk about the South Carolina game in a minute, but what do you have for the show?
Oh, a few things. You were talking about that UT-Missouri game. Kind of reminds me of one of those old WWF or WWE wrestling matches where the loser leaves town or something, you never hear from them again.
Yeah, it's like a hair match. Like you lose your hair. If you lose, you're done. You end up looking silly.
Or you have to go, you have to find a new foundation altogether, maybe the WWE or I don't know, the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Alliance. But anyway, you're right. It's got it written all over. You know what I'm saying? But Carolina, kind of like Clemson, and man, they got to find some offense. And oh my God, I don't know if it's one of those. It's definitely not a quick fix for either one. I'm looking for Clemson to pick it up, but man, Carolina, they got to run something that looks resemblance of an offense. But we just haven't seen it yet. And one last thing I was going to ask you, Rob, about Clemson. As great as a recruiter that Dabo is, and he is, we know that. And Clemson, they just have a little hiccup. They'll get it back either this year or next year. I mean, don't worry, it'll definitely happen. But the thing I was going to ask you, as good as a recruiter as Dabo is, the portal has been just detrimental to Clemson. I mean, they have lost many 4-stars, a few 5-stars, and I think it all has to do with nobody was going to approach Dabo and say, I want to leave your program, because he was so loyal to them and he did so much for them. But now it's the portal makes it real easy. Well, I'll just enter the portal. I don't have to tell the coach or anything like that. So, man, I think the portal has absolutely killed Clemson. Am I right on that, Rob?
Yeah, well, I mean, they had some guys that left the program. They had a defensive tackle that went to maybe a defensive end that went to Virginia Tech. If you look around the country, Northwestern had a starting quarterback that played at Clemson. You got to remember that App State's quarterback was at Clemson. Zarrell Cooper was also at Clemson. I mean, there are several other things in the mix there, including Lynn J. Dixon's going to go somewhere and play, not this season, but next season. I mean, but the reality is that the good programs have the coaches that can adapt. And right now, with the transfer portal, Dabo Swinney is not adapting. He has got to figure out how he can make the transfer portal work for him instead of just working against him. And right now, he's not doing it. And I think that he'll have enough people that'll get in his ear and tell him, look, there is a ton of talent out there, and we have the capability to get some guys that can come in here that can help us. And in the end, he wants to win, but the coaches that can do enough with the transfer portal to alleviate some holes that they have are going to be the coaches that win. Nick Saban is an old school coach. He's got Tennessee starting linebacker from last year, Toto, as one of his guys that's out there playing for him. And I got to check the stats on him, but the one or two games I've seen of Alabama where I've watched all the way through, he's making plays. So you're going to have to figure out what's best for you and go and get it. And right now he is not doing that. So we'll see where it all ends up, but they got to figure that out at Clemson because there is a lot of talent in that transfer portal.
Absolutely. And Rob, one last thing I was going to say, this is kind of a put up or shut up Friday.
Yeah.
I think it's put up or shut up for the Gamecock offense tomorrow. If they win tomorrow, but the offense, 300 yards or something like that, I think we're at the point of the year you can say they are what they are, and that's it. So I'm kind of putting that on the Gamecocks offense as well. But enjoy your show, Rob. Bye.
All right, man. Hey, appreciate it. Well, under that logic, after 4 games, you pretty much are what you are anyway. Not to throw shade at Ray there, but the reality is that you can have teams that can bounce back from slow starts, but as of right now, you've got 4 games under your belt. You are a third of the way through your season. Now, you can have the mentality of, look, now we've got an 8-game season ahead of us, and we may not be able to reach all the goals that we got before, but we can win this 8-game season, go through it, and knock some people around and let them know, especially if you're Clemson. Now, there's going to be a section of folks that are going to say, oh, the folks that follow Paul Feinbaum, who is basically Nick Saban's lapdog. And when he can't be Nick Saban's lapdog, he just picks an SEC team that he can latch onto like a leech. That is what Paul Feinbaum is. You're going to have him and the guys that are going to say point blank, oh, Clemson is completely done. They will never win anything ever again. To which I laugh at. Now, if I'm Dabo Swinney, he coaches better from the side of no one believes in us. No one thinks we can do anything. He needs to put that message to his team and tell them, hey, this is what's going on. Everybody's thinking we're done. We have an 8-game season now, but understand, especially for guys like Uiagalelei, who's going to be there next season. In theory, he can be because he'll be a junior. If he wants to go in and have a great season next year, he needs to have the mentality of, I've got an 8-game season now. Let's see if we can slide into the ACC championship game, keep that conference championship streak alive, and then go to a bowl game and do what Oklahoma did last year to Florida, just beat the snot out of them. And let everyone know, the folks that are running around saying Clemson's lost out and Dabo Swinney's out of touch and they can't do this and they can't do that, let them know, hey, all that's going to be put to rest. And let people sweat a little bit. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about with the sweating, right? The people that have to draw Clemson in a bowl game, knowing that it may not be the most prestigious bowl. Let's say it's the Gator Bowl or a New Year's Six Bowl. Okay? And they end up with Clemson and Clemson beats them silly. They don't want that. Trust me. They don't want anything to do with that. No team does. You'll still have the same section of folks that are like, well, it's not the CFP and the bowl games don't matter. Unless, of course, Clemson or a team like Clemson loses in a bowl game and doesn't have the moniker of, we played Alabama, so we think we're great. That mentality. So, yeah. Anyway, getting back to all of that, I think this weekend's important for Clemson on that front. And for South Carolina, this Troy defense is supposedly pretty good. They had a game this season where they sacked the quarterback like 9 times. So we'll see how that works out. They may or may not have the mentality that they can brush the quarterback. Now, I've got a slew of dum-dums in the chat room that are all saying the same thing. Clemson can't do this. Clemson can't do that. Most of them are Georgia fans who haven't won anything since 1980. They're still humming Blondie lyrics, and then they're laughing a little bit about their Super Bowl win this year, which was the Clemson game, because they know deep down in their hearts that Georgia is going to screw them over once again, just like they do every year, even when they have monumental talent. Yeah, all of that, it doesn't matter. Being the most talented team doesn't win you anything at Georgia. That's the case, they'd have like 5 national championships since 1980, but they don't. All right, quick break. When we come back, we'll have more for you here on The Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Doesn't take much with you simpletons. I just mentioned Clemson's good and a slew of comments. You can't help yourselves, can you? That's your Super Bowl. Congratulations. Congratulations there, Georgia. Y'all don't slip up and lose now. Don't have an incident like where South Carolina with a gong show coach came into that stadium you play in and hit you right in the mouth. Don't let that happen. Just saying. Don't let a Florida team that had no business beating you, let them beat you. Don't let that happen. got a monumental team, best defense ever. Best defense I've seen in a long time. It'd be a shame to watch them play in, I don't know, the CarQuest Bowl. Yep. SEC dog has to be a simpleton. King of the simpletons. East Satellite Campus. Now that makes too much sense, Jimmy. In their mind, they're in the SEC and Vanderbilt's a bigger win. I'll give you my picks on that in a little bit, Randall. Look at all the simpletons with the comments. Doesn't take much, man. Doesn't take much. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio, 1400 around the world in the iHeartRadio app. If you want some silliness, if you want to see a fan base that is oppressed, go and online right now and go to the chat room. You can find it on the Fox Sports Radio 1400 Facebook page and look at all of the Georgia fans. All of it is, we beat Clemson. Clemson's going to lose. It's the easiest and simplest fan base in the history of all time. You just mentioned that. And all they can say is, well, we won. We've won what? We've won 43 games against Clemson. Yeah, but you don't have any national titles in the past 5 years, do you? How many SEC titles do you have in the past? I don't know. You have like what? One SEC? That's cute. Did you win your division? No. We had a midget at quarterback. It's a endless streak of excuses with Georgia fans. But congratulations on your Super Bowl win. That's what you got earlier in the season. Out to the phones we go. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, bud. What's up?
I just wanted to ask, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Georgia-Arkansas matchup this weekend.
Yeah, so Georgia's an 18.5-point favorite. The big thing with that matchup, according to my notes, is KJ Jefferson and Treylon Burks from Arkansas. Can they make the big play over the top? Which is, I don't think very many teams are going to run on Georgia. But the reality is that it comes back to some teams have had the capability to go down the field and make a big shot. South Carolina had a play where it's basically like the drop in the bucket, throw down the field. It seems like Georgia.
Are you talking about the touchdown pass to Josh Van?
Yeah.
But
that was a play. Yeah, that was a play that was down the field. And it looks like at some points Georgia's willing to concede that because that's a much harder play to connect with than say, hey, they're going to give up more stuff through mid routes and things like that. But for Arkansas to have a chance, they're going to have to be really explosive on that front and get big games out of Treylon Burks and KJ Jefferson. And I don't know how healthy KJ Jefferson is either. So we'll see how that works out. But I think I'll give you my pick on this later on, but Georgia's an 18.5-point favorite. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you saw earlier. Georgia defensive end Nolan Smith released a quote. SEC Network posted it earlier saying, "I don't care if we're playing the New England Patriots; they don't get in our end zone." And Arkansas running back Treylon Smith saw it and he retweeted it with 3 laughing emojis, basically saying that he's not scared and he thinks that they're going to run over Georgia's defense. So I'm kind of expecting this game to be chippy tomorrow because of how big and how big implications.
It may be chippy, and remember, bad teams have gone into Athens and won. So Arkansas is a pretty good team. Can they go in there and do it? We'll see.
I completely agree with you. Also, my other question is, do you think that Iowa can be on upset alert tonight against Maryland?
Yeah, that's one of those games that let's see here. Maryland puts up like 180 yards more passing. They run the ball better. So if it gets into a shootout, Maryland has a chance. They really do at home.
I wanted to ask because I know they're having a blackout tonight, but the last time that Maryland had a blackout at home on a Friday night, they lost 56 or 59-0 to Penn State.
Yeah, nobody ever. No, those blackout things never work, man.
Yeah, no, that's actually funny because Utah State's having a blackout because they host BYU tonight as well, and BYU's been looking pretty impressive, in my opinion.
Well, we'll see how that matchup works out as well, man. Hey, I appreciate you calling the show.
All right, no problem. No problem. Thank you so much.
All right, have a great day, man. Let's go back out to the phones. And welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Are you done crying, or can you pull it together long enough to have legitimate conversation?
What are you talking about? Everything I said was factual.
Everything you said is factual. Georgia hasn't won anything. Okay.
Not as far as the national championships go. Have you won a national championship since 1980? Tell me about it.
Now that is facts. That is facts. What you said about haven't won anything is a total lie, which you say all the time on the air.
In the reality of what I'm talking about, and I think that you would agree with me on this, you've had
backtracking.
Teams that had national championship talent like last year's team, and you couldn't even win the division, much less the national title. Right?
You are correct. We failed with our fourth-string quarterback to win a national title. And when you say
he still leads the team in touchdowns this year, even though he's the fourth-string quarterback. I know that's not a normal thing to say, right?
And when you say we have the talent to win it, you're correct. The problem is, but you insinuate that no one else has that much talent. The problem is there's always a handful of teams out there with just as much talent. You fail to mention that.
Okay.
Listen, you teased us about something Georgia did right, which I thought I was going to fall over when you said that. What was that?
Would I tell you what? I will lead with that right now. The Georgia football program has done something that Florida does not have the balls to do. They've shown this over and over and over again. They've scheduled a home and home with someone that is not in the state of the state of Georgia, which Florida hasn't played a non-conference road game outside of the state in the regular season since like 1991, because that athletic department down there, as far as the football program goes, they are a unit. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Anyway, Georgia has scheduled a home and home series with NC State. Now, they should beat the snot out of NC State because NC State's not a world-beating program. But the reality is, instead of being arrogant and saying, you know what, we're not going to go to Carter Finley and play, Georgia said, we'll play a game with you here in Athens and then play a game there at your stadium the next season. So congratulations to Georgia for that, because there are a lot of SEC teams that just won't do that. They'll do neutral site games, but they won't schedule the home and home. So that's one of the things that Georgia did that is really, really good. Would you agree?
I would agree, and I'll leave you with this, Rob. 43-18. If you don't know what that is, look it up.
I will be happy to do that, sir. I'll look up that after I try to find the national championship games that Georgia has won after 1980. Once I find those, then I'll look up your stuff. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on The Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Well, if you think that you can beat them, you're going to get a shot in Jacksonville. You don't want to come on the air and talk about how Florida's going to roll. Okay, well, I mean, that's on you, man. I can't make you get on the radio. Just saying. Okay, then. Yeah, the Florida fans are still silly, too. Mm-hmm. Former Notre Dame quarterback Brady Quinn. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network. Presented by DuckDuckGo. It's not entirely fair to compare Rick to Smart. So the records are close, but it's not really. If you look at the circumstances, it's not completely fair. Rick's teams also probably led the SEC in arrests. Just throwing that out there, too. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app, 803-978-1832. A couple of calls during the break. One of them was a Florida fan saying that they were going to roll Kentucky this weekend. We've got some matchup stuff with that game. And they're going to roll through Jacksonville, and they're going to, he said snot block was the term he used, the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll see how that works out as well. Picks against the spread coming up shortly. A couple of other things. Another caller said, with the line in the Clemson game at 15.5 points, is that Las Vegas thinking that this could be the week where the Clemson offense breaks out? It could be a combination of two things. One, it could be they don't have very much faith in that Boston College defense, which is not very good. They're missing like 3 of their playmakers that at the beginning of the season they thought they were going to have on the defensive side of the ball. Also, they don't have Djokovic, their quarterback. He's out with the hand injury. So Grossa is a young man that's been in the program for a while, but is not really the game-changing type quarterback that they have when they have Djokovic there. So I think, in my opinion, they think the Clemson offense is going to break open eventually. If they don't start blocking, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. So they got to figure out ways to, and they've done this before. They've never really had like an offensive line that's just absurdly great. Okay. But they've had the ability to basically creatively come up with plays that would give them an advantage. So there you go with that. Well, I'll give you my pick on that in just a little bit. I appreciate your call. You're also welcome to join the show, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. All right, so we have the big matchup this weekend with Alabama and Ole Miss. Ole Miss is like a 17-point underdog, something like that, 14 points, whatever big line that you want. All right, but the talk amongst a lot of folks is Lane Kiffin, and is he going to stay at Ole Miss? Is he going to say, you know what, I can build this program here and make it where we can be the team that when we play Alabama, we're not a 17-point underdog. If you look at the SEC West, by the way, Lane Kiffin's in a pretty good spot. It's not like Brian Harsin is setting the world on fire at Auburn. The jury is still out on the Pirate at Mississippi State. Ed Orgeron might get fired at the end of the season. Yes, Arkansas is up and coming. But in reality, the two most stable programs in the SEC West right now are probably Alabama and Ole Miss. He's brought stability of some sort to that program. If they could ever learn how to play some defense, look out. Or just not even really play defense, but just slow some people down a little bit. If they could get to that point, they would be right up there. Other than Georgia, the East is pretty much flat. So there's that. But could he leave that program and go back to Southern Cal where he was tarmacked? Made up his own verb there. Fired on the tarmac, told to get off the plane. They're looking to replace Clay Helton. Former NFL wide receiver Keyshawn Johnson said that Kiffin deserves a second chance in LA. Johnson, this is funny, pointed to Kiffin's growth and maturity as a catalyst for his line of thinking. I don't really think I want Keyshawn Johnson being the guy that determines whether or not I'm mature or not. But there's that. We'll see how that works out. But he did say when he was talking to Michael Wilbon, what I would say is this. Michael Wilbon was 100% right 10 years ago. Lane Kiffin was, and I'll say it, a buffoon. And I told Lane many times, Lane's one of my good friends. Lane and I have a relationship to a point that goes all the way back to his dad, who coached me at the time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So when he left, wait a minute, he was a wide receiver. He didn't coach you. Shut up. When he left Tennessee to get the job, he called me from the private plane to let me know, I'm going to land in LA this time. Let's figure it out. I don't know. Going back there, I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work. I think it's better to stay in the land of Mississippi. All right, quickly here. Matchup with Florida and Kentucky. Kentucky, to win this game, they're going to have to get some plays in the pass game from someone other than Wayndale Robinson. He caught 7 balls for 65 yards against South Carolina. Need a little bit more from him than that, but they're also going to have to get another playmaker down the field. For Florida, some of the things that from several different folks that I've seen include they've got to hit plays downfield in the passing game. Let's go out to the phones quickly here. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, it's Colby.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, man.
I just had a quick question for you.
Sure.
All right. So I know Kentucky plays Florida this weekend.
Right.
I have a bet with someone on the YouTube platform. $100 that
right.
Kentucky goes 11-1. I bet against that. So what do you think about that?
That's a good bet because I think I haven't looked at Kentucky's schedule. I know they play LSU every year from the West. I don't know what they're going to get out of LSU. I think that Georgia will beat them. That's like 2 losses right there. So,
and then I think they play Arkansas this year.
I don't know about I don't know the rest of their schedule, but I know they've got Florida tomorrow night, and I don't see them winning that game either.
Gotcha. So did I make a smart bet? Kentucky is not going 11-1. Did I make a smart bet?
Well, they've never won 11 games in their history. I think they've won 10 games once. Why would this be the year that they would just, hey, we're going to win more than 10 games? So I think that's a safe bet.
All right. Well, I needed to hear it from you.
Well, I'm not the best at all of that, but I would have made that bet too. So there you go.
I got you. So if I lose the bet, I'm gonna come running back to you, and you're gonna owe me 100. All right.
No, it's not gonna be like that. But no, I think you made a safe bet. I really do.
Okay. All right, Rob. Well, I appreciate your time, man. You take it easy.
All right, there you go. Appreciate you, man. All right. Well, I don't think Kentucky's winning 11 games. I don't think that's happening. So the other end of this game is going to come down to both teams are going to want to run the ball. Now, Kentucky does have a decent defense. It's kind of what their hallmark is being able to defend. How good is the the Florida rush defense? They played decent against Alabama, but they're going to have to run the ball against that Kentucky defense. And if they win that matchup, they're going to win the game. So we'll have full picks against the spread when we come back, including that matchup up at Kroger Field. When can we have a Piggly Wiggly field? When is Piggly Wiggly going to sponsor a field? Kroger does. Come on. All right, 803-978-1832. Final show of the week here on The Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Who made that bet, Colby, with you? Was that Bluegrass Sports Media? I don't think that's a good bet. I wouldn't take that bet. A little Braves talk. Someone said Spencer Strider is coming up to help out the bullpen. Every time Will Smith goes to the mound, I literally walk in the other room. I don't even watch the game. He is terrible. I mean, he is just really bad. Somebody took my highlighter. Jerks. I'm at war with reality. Okay. You want to stand by that, Megan? Okay. I'm at war with reality. Sure. North Carolina is a 19-point favorite over Duke. I haven't seen him. He used to call the show. He was an old man. I hope that he didn't pass away. That would be bad. Final segment of the rundown on a Friday afternoon. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the rundown. Steve says, Rob is a typical Clemson fan, said for 8 months that they will kill Georgia. You are a typical Georgia fan telling me you're going to win the national title every year, but you haven't won anything like that since 1980. Please take a seat, sir. We're going to pick your Georgia game here in a moment. Anyway. In other news, other games we're going to pick here, Syracuse at Florida State. Florida State is a 6-point favorite. Will they get a win this year? I'm rolling with the Orange tomorrow. Dino Babers will go down there and win a game. I think that they've quit on Mike Norvell. So give me Syracuse to win that game straight up. Pittsburgh at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has played pretty well. Played well against Clemson. Got the win over I played well with North Carolina. They're at home. They're a 3-point dog to Pitt. Pitt lost to a directional school from Michigan. Give me Georgia Tech to get the win there. What do Georgia fans call Georgia Tech? The Nerds. I'll take the Nerds for 300, Alex. As we roll along, let's see here. We'll do Detroit and South Carolina game. Started out as a 9-point favorite for South Carolina. Now it's down to 6.5. This Troy team lost to Louisiana Monroe. I think this game's going to end up being like the East Carolina game. I really do. South Carolina will win, and I think the Gamecocks will cover. I think they'll win by 10 points, so we'll go with the Gamecocks there. Army's a 9-point favorite over Ball State. Give me the Cadets. I think they'll run them out. David Letterman's alma mater. Indiana and Penn State. Penn State's a 9-point favorite at home. I will take the Nittany Lions. Let's see here. Louisiana Monroe is playing Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina, the highest ranked team in the state, is a 30-point favorite. Until somebody beats them, give me the Chants. And let's see here. Other matchups. Before I get into my SEC picks here. All right, we'll go with Alabama and Ole Miss. Alabama's a 17.5-point favorite. I think that game is going to be it's going to be really, really high scoring. I like the over there. So I will take Alabama to win, though, and I'll give up the 17.5. Not enough defense there to slow down. And I think that the turnover bug will bite Ole Miss when it matters. Arkansas and Georgia. Arkansas is playing with house money, and I think that Georgia has the capability to really put a hurting on their big playmaking tandem there. I don't know how healthy Jefferson is, so give me Georgia minus 18. Tennessee and Mizzou up in Como. I was listening to the Mazodcast, and they basically said, wow, how terrible is this Mizzou team? Terrible, terrible, terrible. As far as the defensive side of the ball goes, but Tennessee's not that much better. Tennessee is running like a Mr. Potato Head offensive line. It's like if your kid had a Mr. Potato Head, they would just put pieces on that didn't make sense. That's kind of how the offensive line is. Like they've got the Mays brothers there. One of them's healthy, the other one's not. One of them's supposed to be playing tackle and he's playing guard, or some mixed up thing like that. Give me Mizzou to win. It's a 3-point spread, 80% chance of rain. So I think it'll be a muddy game there, in my opinion. But I'll take that. Give me Mizzou. Florida and Kentucky. Florida's an 8-point favorite. Man, Kentucky, what was the stat yesterday? Since 1984, something like that. Like Kentucky and Vanderbilt, if you combine their wins over Florida, it meets 5, whereas South Carolina since 2006 has 6 wins or something against Florida. Not buying that at all. Give me Florida, and I think that they'll win, but I'm going to take I'll take Kentucky to cover. I think the game will be close, really close. Auburn and LSU. I don't know what we're going to get out of LSU. You would think that playing at home at night, Saturday night in Baton Rouge, where they're shaking the buses. Just saying. Auburn, I don't know what they're going to have. Who's going to start? Is it going to be Bo Nix, the legacy recruit? Is it going to be TJ Finley? I'm going to go with LSU simply because I like their quarterback situation better. Michigan and Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a 4-point favorite, even though they've lost 2 games. But I think Ches Malusi and those guys, they'll hold it down, and I think they will beat Michigan. Final matchup that we will pick this week is Mississippi State and Texas A&M. Started out as an 8-point favorite for A&M. It's down to 7. You would think that they went in and got their nose popped by Arkansas, that they may try to right the ship there. But this is a Texas A&M team that it seemed like their entire season was, can we beat Alabama? Can we beat Alabama? I don't think it matters now, but I think that they can win over the Pirate. So give me Texas A&M to cover the spread there. All right, so folks from the chat room over there, someone asked if I shop at Chubby Wubby. No, I get shirts out of your closet in the morning, sir. Blake says the fat, slow official spotting the ball will slow down the lane's tempo real quick. Okay, that's good. Colby says he thinks LSU wins. Going to be a crapshoot, though. Okay. Ingalls Field and Clemson. I mentioned Piggly Wiggly Field earlier. Why not Ingalls Field? Steven with the win, sir. I like it. And then Jerome says, I guess that makes us Dollar General. No, South Carolina should be Piggly Wiggly Field. That would be great. That would be great. All right, 803-978. Actually, I'm about out of time. Man, the hour runs by so quickly. Tennessee Field at Dollar General. Very good, Steven. Very good. All right, so, we didn't pick the Clemson-Boston College matchup. Got to have that one, too. Clemson's a 15.5-point favorite in that game. You know, I said this last week, until Clemson's offense can look like they have a prayer of scoring, I'm not going to pick the Clemson offense. Not. They scored 14 points against NC State in regulation last week. How can I sit here and say, you know what? They're going to be great. They'll beat 15, the 15-point line. Come on. Now, I think Boston College is going to make it a muddy game tomorrow. It's just going to be who can muddy it up the most. Try to slow Clemson down like that. Clemson's also playing without their defensive tackles, which injuries are part of the game, but new guys filling those holes there. They may not be completely up and at it yet. So Boston College will probably have a little success there with the mammoth offensive line they got. I'll take Clemson to win, but Boston College will cover. Boston College will cover. You guys are killing me with the names of the fields over here. Kleenex Field, Visine Field. Someone wants me to put up my beard about Arkansas. I said Georgia would beat Arkansas. I don't know what you're talking about. I think Georgia's going to handle Arkansas. The only game that I would feel like uber confident, and they want me to bet my beard, for God's sake. Only game on this week that I would feel really confident about, I don't really have one, to be honest. I don't. All right, Lawton Swan of Clemson Sports Talk is next. He is the czar of Clemson Sports.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Tomorrow on 103.5 FM WVOC, we will have our best Gamecock coverage. Everything you need to know about South Carolina. And, of course, Troy coming to town. So be sure to check us out there. More of the rundown on Monday. I don't even know what day it is. Right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Hey, I appreciate you guys, man. You guys, the whole thing with the stadium thing is hilarious. Steve, that almost made me laugh. Holy crap. I mean, like, seriously. New Spring Field at Clemson. That's great, too. Appreciate you guys, man. We'll see you later on.